Countdown begins.
Yeah. In the days of old, 5 elements were known: MCing, DJing, graffiti had grown, B-boy and knowledge, the pillars of the game. But a sixth emerged, adding to the flame. Comics and hip-hop, a fusion so tight. Visual storytelling, lyrics that ignite. From the pages to the beats, a seamless blend. The sixth element, where two worlds transcend.
Welcome to the Sixth Element Show, where comics and hip-hop flow. Reno and Stu guiding the way, bringing you the culture every day. Welcome to the Sixth Element Show, where comics and hip-hop flow. Reno and Stu.
Yes, y'all. What's good? Welcome to the Sixth Element Show. Reno and Stu here to bring y'all the best comic and hip hop news and events. Shout out to my man Al Mega.
Al Mega Wepa.
Al, I ain't have time to put the description in there, but I promise I will get it done as soon as I get this. As soon as we get the show rolling here. Slade, what's good, man? Salute. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Eve Mux messed me up, Al. I had it all written out, bro. I had a beautiful thing, all description, everything was full from top to bottom, and then all of a sudden, Eve Mux did its typical thing where it glitched out and everything disappeared, and I had to redo it all from scratch, and I didn't have time. Smoke, salute, what's good? Yes, sir. Slade in the building, saying what's up to Al. There it is. Music used with permission by Al Mega. Original music produced and created by Al Mega. Copywritten Al Mega and Big Wepa Music Studios. 2025. All rights reserved. Unauthorized use or duplication is prohibited. Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother, man. Al hooked us up with the fly intro. We're gonna go through the whole song. It's a whole song. It's not just the intro. There's a whole song, like several verses. Raw talk. Mute your mic, bro.
Yeah, man. The train is all backed up. It's fucked up in New York, so I'm gonna listen.
I hear you. Smoke said, "Homie, still been a minute since I left the GameStop." Big Smoke.
Yeah. That's my man. I've been trying to get him on here. Show off his collection, man. He got a super dope what do you call those things? The Pops collection, man. I want to see.
The Funkos. Well, yeah, man.
It's my man Dre. It's my man Dre. Shout out to Dre. Get with me, man. Come on here and show off your show off your gems, baby.
Yeah, anytime, bro. We love having guests come on and show off their gems. We always have good gem shows and bust it up with the fans and the guests and the people that like to bring their stuff. But today we have a good show, guys. Not Raw Talk, not talking shit. He was just on the train, had a lot of feedback. So I told him to mute his mic, please, sir. Appreciate you, broski. Salute to the chat.
I'm not even on the train, man. The trains are canceled and delayed and shit, man. So I'm chilling.
He's stuck.
In my spot, chilling, eating a nice little meal. Salt and pepper on 33rd.
I heard most of what you're saying, but your mic is like a lot of feedback. It just sounds like a lot of wind. I can't really hear you. Probably because you're probably outside or something like that. But
I'm eating in the spot.
Yeah. Just go ahead and mute it while you're not talking, bro. Good show today, though. Good show today. Slade, super dope new intro, guys. I need that track. We're gonna play the whole song. It's a whole song. There's like 4 or 5 verses. It's really clever. Al hooked it up. But yes, man. Without further ado, we do got a show planned tonight with Daredevil, season 2, episode 1 and 2. Can I speak? Yes, we're gonna get it in. It was amazing. I thought it was phenomenal. But I want to talk specifically today about why the show is so good to comic nerds, why comic fans love this show, and why this show is more of what Daredevil and Wolverine gave us, and what we hope to see more from the MCU moving forward. What I think we're going to be getting from the DCU based on everything. It's more it's filmed and presented more in a way that it just feels like a comic book. It just feels like a comic. It feels like a graphic novel. But specifically, I'm gonna show y'all exactly what I'm talking about this evening. But before we do, man, let's just bust it up, man. Nearly a decade after Netflix debuted its Daredevil series, which ran for at least 3 seasons on the streamer, Charlie Cox has returned as the blind masked vigilante in Disney Plus's revival Daredevil Born Again. TV show is brilliantly detailed continuation, I think, of the Netflix series centering on gutted Matt Murdock, whose newfound rage threatens to consume him, just like Matt Murdock in the comics. And furthermore, he's contending with a re-emergence of Wilson Fisk, who is now Skin Pin. I call him Skinny Pin. He lost eating straight up egg whites and asparagus. Lost all the weight, but a volatile mobster nonetheless, who's just been elected mayor of New York. And the parallels are, I mean, just the parallels to Trump are just mind-numbingly obvious. It's so funny. But hey, I always said when Trump got elected, that's like Lex Luthor becoming president or Kingpin becoming mayor, and here we are with Kingpin as mayor, Trump as president. But yeah, man, this Daredevil revival is wonderfully complex, man. It's the show takes a sledgehammer to its former Netflix world, allowing the title character and those orbiting him to transform under the weight and the pain and the time. It takes place. It starts off 5 years after the ending of the Netflix series. And yeah, I mean, created by Dario Chardepane, Daredevil Born Again opens with several familiar faces. You start off, you see Matt and his two buddies, Foggy and Karen. And by the way, guys, this is a spoiler show. If y'all know Sixth Element, we don't hold back. So
Yeah,
spoiler
we
alert.
don't hold back at all. So if you ain't seen it, go watch it and then come back and watch the show. But
Exactly.
definitely gonna spoil it for you.
We definitely gonna spoil it for you. Um, and
If you haven't seen it, that is.
in the
No, if you
best
haven't
way.
seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. It's good times. But let me see if I can get you into where I'm going with the thing before we kind of do a whole just let me get this up for y'all. So basically, the reason I feel that this movie is or that this show is so based or so treating comic fans so well is because first of all, right off the bat, it looks like a comic book. The shots are like comic panels. If you didn't catch this, if you didn't notice this, you probably don't read a lot of comics. If you read graphic novels, if you read comics, you instantly were like, "Oh shit, this looks like a fucking panel." Just page after page, and the shots are very expertly done to that effect for that reason, and let me see if I can get it to where you guys can see what I'm looking at here. Da. Let's get a big one. Slide that over there. All right. Now let me know,
Mm.
Stu. Let me know, Stu. Let me know if hang on. Let me know if it goes full screen like I want it to. Did it expand at all?
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
still got a border, like a gray border, but it's bigger
Gray
than
board.
what it was.
Okay. Good.
It's bigger. It's bigger. It is bigger, but it's got a
Good.
gray border.
Good. Opening scene right here, just straight out of the comic book. It's like a skinny panel of the building, and it opens up with the spotlight going straight out of Batman. And you get all these colorful squares that pop in. It just like okay, it's not Ang Lee's Hulk, right? It's not literally comic panels on the screen. Okay, they didn't want to do that. They want to keep it MCU. They want to keep it live action. They want to keep it realistic and sort of with the realism, but I'm talking about a vibe here, right? It's a vibe. It's a vibe of comics. It feels like a comic, and that's all I want from DCU, MCU. I want the shows to feel like comics. I want the movies to feel like a comic. You know what I mean? Like I want to get the vibe of it. I don't want to look like it exactly, but this gives me the vibe of a comic right off the bat. I mean, look at this shot right here. Like it pulls back and then freezes like that's a comic book page panel. A panel is the square inside the comic. You know, when a comic has a bunch of little squares, a grid, right? Each little square, that's called a panel, right? And these shots are positioned and framed like comic panels. Boom, boom, Boom. Zoom in. It says you see a little sign with a little spotlight on it. Nelson Murdoch and Page. Like this is straight up artistic. Boom. You got the dude telling. Just picture it drawn with cell shaded comics. Now this is I love this scene here. They show his ear, and then they literally have a lens flare encircle his ear and zoom in. At first I didn't know if it was like my TV or something because it was too perfect. But again, man, right out of a comic, zooming right in on his ear with the little spot of light letting you know that he's super hearing right now, and he's super hearing Foggy in the other room. And we get a little shot of Foggy talking to somebody on the phone. We hear him, and then boom, we see this little fly land on the light bulb. Spink. Next panel, right? Just imagine you're reading a comic book. Next panel, boom, paperclip in the fly. Next panel, boom, Bullseye's hand with the target on it. Perfect shot. Boom, aerial shot. Boom, the trio. The trio. He's telling him about. You can just picture speech bubbles. Just picture a speech bubble behind his head, above her head, behind his head. I mean, look at that. It's so and if you didn't notice, it's so like descriptive with the imagery. The imagery is literally telling you a story. You could literally mute the TV and get the story. That's how much of like that's how they do it, and it really feels like a comic. This was very intentional, you guys. Then we get this nice shot of the cityscape. Imagine comic panels. Now this gets a little foggy because again, it is a movie. It's not a comic book, so it's not going to be. It's going to be a little grainy now, but stay with me now. You get this nice upward view of the fire escape, and then you see him hopping up, and it like turns red, and you get the fire escape, and you can kind of make out his shadow, right? And you can see the
Yeah.
line there, the cord going right there, and you can kind of make out his shadow right there, and like you can see his arm right there reaching up, and there's his head. You can see the shadow, and then you can see his arm right there. Can you see my mouse moving around and shit?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, I
cool.
see
So
it.
you see him right there. You see him going up the fire escape. This beautiful panel right here with the top of the tower, and you got Daredevil right there leaping up in his costume. Now, again, this if this was a comic, obviously it would be drawn perfectly, and you would see the image of his body perfectly outlined. But since this is not a comic book, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a show. It's live action. But again, we're looking at the vibe. We're feeling the vibe of a comic here. Boom, you get your guy standing there with his head down, looking hella edgy as his head slowly rises up in the light, and then you see him swinging across the scape. Come on, bro. When he, Stu, how excited were you when you seen him swinging around?
I was tripping. Straight
Tripping, bro.
tripping.
I mean, good shit. Look at there he is doing a flip, a somersault. Yeah, you can barely see right there. He's doing a little somersault
Cause
across the
it's
nightscape.
it's what Daredevil does. It's how he get around town.
Yep. You see his arm right there
I
with the
was
stick.
impressed.
Very impressed. You see him right there. So it just shows him kind of his silhouette running across the rooftops. You see him hopping over here, hopping up on the
Yeah.
chimney. You get this cool close up, and it's just very clear. And then you got the blurry background, and he almost looks fucking animated. He almost looks drawn in, and you got this
It
cool
does.
zone.
It did. Yeah. Yeah. It did look almost strong there.
Yeah,
And I had to like push it back and look at it again. Because I thought it was just like a bad CG, but it's not. It does look like he's animated, which I like. I think it's dope. I think it's a dope touch.
absolutely. I mean, that's as a comic fan, that's all I've been wanting. That's what I've been missing from the MCU since like Endgame. Save for like Guardians, but pretty much. And then you get this cool little scene here where you got the bullseye, and you see there he is, and you just imagine it drawn in a comic panel, guys. You see the bullseye, then you would see his face, then you would see him pull his mask on, right, in the panel. Then you would see Daredevil running. You would see him jump across, right, leaping, jumping across the rooftop, running. Then you would see Karen. What's going on? Then you got Foggy looking at his phone, and just picture a speech bubble right here. And they do these like slow, ominous shots where there's like ambient music in the background,
Music. Yeah.
slow shots where they kind of freeze. This one was just solid emotion shot, walking up, shit, chilling, talking. Then you see him get bust. Bah. Oh wait, did I skip one? Yes. Look, you see the blood spurting out onto her face. That's a scene right there. That's a panel. Bah, bah. Then you see him laying on the ground. He hits the
Just
ground.
fall like,
You
they
see her
like,
face.
oh, he's like,
Blood
they
on her
got me.
face. Word. And she's turning around like, oh shit, where'd that come from? And you see these two cops walk out. You see one get shot in the head. Bah. He goes down. Bah. The other one gets one in the head. Bah. Then you see the silhouette in this long shot with the crosswalk. Notice the imageries. I don't know if you guys are catching this. The imagery, the art, the coloring, the line, the white and black lines of the crosswalk. That's intentional. That's not just, oh, that happened to be in the road. Doesn't it look cool? That was set up because it's dynamic. And then here you go. You see him walk. He throws the fucking grenade. And you see the smoke twirling up. Then you can see it spiraling in. And this was a great shot too. They zoomed back and they just gave you this nice square shot. The door is coming in. Bow, you got people on the sides. Thing comes flying in, spiraling in, hits the ground, goes to spinning around, smoke coming out. Bow, sparks. But imagine it one comic panel at a time. It's drawn here. Bow, you see this scene. You know when you look in a comic, you can feel it moving. You see it moving when you're reading the comic. It just doesn't feel like an image. It feels like a movie. And that would be your panel. That would be the next panel. Then it would spray its smoke out. You would see Bullseye walking up, and you see her going for her gun. He pulls out his gun. He's got the gun pointed straight at her, and you see a little speech bubble, and he says, whatever he said, Karen, hi Karen or whatever, and then she's got her gun, but it's too late. Then you see Daredevil swinging in to save the day. Why? Bah, they go busting through the window. Shots. I'm saying that's a shot right there. That's a panel right there. Got the gun, blocking it, couple of fists, couple of kicks, couple of. Then that's when you see the sparks coming off his wrist. You got the scene of her now. They show him. Another fight scene, another fight panel. He's doing a spin kick, spinning around. Blah, nice action shot right there. It goes black and white, sparks fly. This was really cool. I don't know if anybody caught this too. They zoom out of the room, the restaurant, and then you see two random NPCs grab the doors and they slide the doors shut. And it's right. I mean, it's like a fucking play. It's so out of a comic. It's not even funny. Bomb. And then they shut the door, zoom back, and then you see them like fighting in the silhouette. You see a chair go by. And then dude comes flying through the panel. Bow, bow. He lands on the ground. You show him on the ground. You know what I'm saying? You see all these panels. I just seen it like a comic. I seen it like a panel. Here's
Yeah.
another panel.
And
Daredevil's following him
this
up the
scene,
stairs.
this fight scene was just as good as the hallway fight scene from the first season
Oh yeah,
when he had the all black costume.
right.
And this was dope, like you said, like look at the panels, and then the way they kept going back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
fighting each other, and he just kept hitting them with knives. Daredevil just kept coming, but that shows us something about the suit. That the suit has a little bit of armor to it because he was taking them in certain spots.
Yeah.
He was taking them, but he was still going because he had about he stabbed him in his organs in ABC order on that one. Look
Mm-hmm.
at you got 3 right there. And then by the time they were done, he had about 20. So you could tell right there the suit has a little bit of pad, a little bit of armor for stuff like that.
Yeah.
A little bit of stab resistance.
This is what
And
killed me. When I seen this shot, I was like, "Oh, that's a comic book panel, bitch. That looks like a fucking drawing."
that is,
I
yeah,
mean, I
that
was
is,
like,
that's 100%.
"Whoa, that's straight up out of a comic book, dog." And but they kept it to a point to where, like, if you weren't really a comic fan, if you weren't really heavy into reading comics, it's not like I said, it's not like Ang Lee's Hulk where it's like literally looks like a comic. You just get the vibe, man. And I don't know if a lot of people caught this. I haven't heard anyone else saying this. So this is just, I was like, man, I gotta bring this to people's attention because it was mind blowing to me. I was like the whole time just going nuts in my seat. I'm like, comic panel, comic panel, comic panel, comic panel. I mean, look, it's a comic panel. That's a
Yeah.
comic panel. Panel.
And also another thing, you get out of this is that you can tell he hasn't been being Daredevil as frequently as he was in those other 2 seasons because the way when he was fighting Bullseye, Bullseye was kind of getting him a little bit, which means that he's a little bit out of practice. Because Daredevil, the one thing that pits Daredevil against Bullseye that makes it so dope is it's hard for Bullseye to hit Daredevil because Daredevil, he has the extra senses, so he
Mm-hmm.
usually can dodge a lot of that stuff. Um, but he was just catching him with it, and then when they were fighting, Daredevil, he was tired, he was out of breath, he was climbing the stairs, he did a lot. He had to swing there, all of that. All of that is your physical, your physical being, and you can tell he hasn't been Daredevil as frequently as he should because he was out of breath. His reflexes were just a little off, and he wasn't as fast or as agile as he normally is. So he still had it, but not as much as he would if he would have been Daredevil as frequently as he has. He'd been a lot more quicker, reflexes a lot more faster, and you can just you just get that sense that that was one of the things. And look how long it took him to get there. Normally he's on point. He's more on point than that. But it was well acted, well choreographed, well played. Um, I could nitpick, but I'm not gonna nitpick on it. I'm just gonna say it's good because it was. Um,
I loved it. It,
I do, and I
it,
hope they keep it up. And I hope.
oh shit! What happened? God damn it! What happened, Stu? Stu will be back in a second. But yes, it's very important. The show is definitely made with comic fans in mind, and not just with not with the lore and the accuracy and casting, but the actual vibe of the show, the actual visuals, the actual ambiance. You know, obviously comics don't have sound, right? So, but they didn't overuse the sound in the show. If you notice, there were just like these ambient like sounds, music in the background, the score, I mean, and so it kept it very much like a vibe. Like it didn't keep it allowed you to stay immersed, and it didn't pull you out, like a lot of the crap lately has, that so-called comic movies. And it's been missing that comic ability, that comicness, right? And so, I mean, the show itself, the episodes themselves, uh I can't say enough how good it was. But just to give you like a basic, um, sort of, hang on, rundown. Let me get. I'm trying to get Stu in here at the moment. Sorry, there he is.
It just straight
Check,
kicked. I
check.
don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. I just got straight kicked. I don't know
It happens. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
why.
But Daredevil Born Again. I mean, so the show, it it kind of it picked up really fast, right off the top. There was this great action scene, this great, and then it a little bit lulled, and then it picked up again, and then it lulled, and it picked up again, and like, which is perfect. I mean, you got to have your action and your drama so that you can care about the characters that you see and they're doing the action. Otherwise, why do I care that they're in action? What do I give a fuck who wins? I don't. It doesn't matter. You got to give me some character development. So they do that very well. But it took its time to sort of to bubble up, and with, because remember, the original plans were focused more on a courtroom drama, which right away, like, it kind of did, like, my son was watching, he's like, what is this, a court show? Like, because it right away sort of seemed like a court show, and they very much were doing a courtroom drama. It was very much supposed to be linked with She-Hulk and the whole thing. So, and less on the superhero stuff, and because famously there's nothing, Marvel fans love more than the legal jargon, and like, come on, like, mercifully, the courtroom element is somewhat downplayed in this new version, in the version that they ended up going with. It's still there, which it should be. He's a lawyer. We got to have some court stuff, but I just don't want it to be a nonstop courtroom show, which it wasn't. But it's still a rather more measured show than it was on Netflix. And impressively, there aren't any, old footage or anything that's been, cobbled together with new parts or any of that nonsense, right? So, but I think this show is exactly as it should be for a fan like me, a comic fan. And it doesn't mean that it won't raise some eyebrows by how little active superhero stuff is in it. It's not nonstop action. I know, Stu, you're a nonstop action guy, so you must have felt, it missing a little bit. But
Yeah. Well,
we,
like I said, I ain't gonna nerd nitpick,
mhm.
but do I think it could have used a little more Daredevil, little more action? Of course, all the time. But it was good for what it was, man. Like, I like the pacing of the okay, like the drama scenes. You gotta have a pace because if it's too slow, like that first Incredible Hulk movie, you sitting there and the next thing you know, it's gonna be watching you, and you're like, damn, can I get through this?
Yeah.
But if the banter between the two characters is interesting enough and it's moving along at a pace that suits you or that suits the style of the movie, it makes it for a more interesting watch.
Right.
And that's what we like. And this one, when they were in the bar, that was cool. When Matt and what's the name of the girl? The girl, what's her name?
With Karen?
Yeah, Karen. Where
Yeah.
where where Matt and Karen were in the courthouse talking at Bullseye's trial.
Yeah.
The pacing of that was even pretty decent because it wasn't boring. Like, he was telling a lot about himself and a lot about things that's been going. See, because a lot of this stuff in the beginning part of this movie, I say the first 20 minutes of this episode, you got to pick up on a lot of things. And I picked up on the fact that he hasn't been being Daredevil. He's been doing it sporadically or when it's needed to be done, but not like he was in the first two seasons where he was going out every night. And they were portraying that, he was going out every night and being
Mhm.
Daredevil. So here we find, or we get the sense that he hasn't been doing that. He hasn't been going out every night. Um, a classic Hollywood style of 2020s. The superhero has a problem with his alter ego. Um, that's where we're at in this decade. Superheroes just like the decades before that, superheroes were cool. They're like, yeah, I'm a superhero, and that's just what it is. And they would tell the chick, like Batman '89, he's out there, and I got to go to work. Vicky Vale in the Batcave, he puts the bat suit on and goes to Axis Chemicals and tears it up. Now the superhero he kind of fights with moral values of being a vigilante. How it affects his free time and his personal life, yada yada, so forth. So that's where we at now. I could
Yeah.
get with it. I'm not gonna nitpick it, but we do know he hasn't been Daredevil as frequently as he was in those first two seasons, and
Well,
that's
at
good to
times,
know because
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
even at the end of the first episode, remember when Wilson Fisk was like, "Look, you know, you stay in your lane. I guess I'm gonna stay in mine, but I haven't seen the devil out in a while. Your alter ego." He kept saying it. He said it like three times about him not being Daredevil as frequently as he was. I don't. But people keep talking about the crime in Hell's Kitchen and in New York and in Manhattan. So that's something that hopefully, he's gonna wrestle with and it's gonna change. But we do know he hasn't been Daredevil. The thing I would like to know that they didn't say is why.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, he kind of explained why, but I mean, it mainly because well, now, I mean, Foggy is the reason that he's not been,
Yeah.
because when Foggy died, but so I mean, but yeah, it's like I said, it's at times the show does feel like a premium TV legal procedural, but it is all tied together by, you know, big ideas about the nature of violence and vigilantism and trauma, and it's also very heavy and flashes packed with, very, I think, really, a lot of heart, and punctuated by some of the most graphic violence that we've seen in a Marvel show, and not like in a obvious like gratuitous way or anything like that, just like in the right places, but just like elbows being popped out of, what I mean, but that's what we would want. And after 9 episodes, I have one dominant thought that speaks to the quality of the thing. More. Give me more. This is what
Yeah.
I've been waiting for. A lot of the pre-release conversation about Born Again has been centered on the returns of the best performing actors and all the Marvel uh, show history, in my opinion. But yeah, Charlie Cox was a brilliant Matt Murdock and a very, very ferocious and well fit Daredevil, with just the right amount of vulnerability to both sides, right? And then you have Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, who has always been a force of nature. John Barenthal's Punisher, uh, you know,
Mm.
pure pain and violence embodied. But all three are just as good as they were in the Netflix seasons, right? Born Again story allows for a lot more depth. And I'm sorry, I have seen more than the 2 episodes, but not with Frank Castle, of course, but that's not really what you want from Punisher. Born Again, the show isn't so much about superheroism and supervillainy as it is about the idea of those things. And again, it's very much now a MCU show. The Netflix show was like, yeah, we mentioned I think the Avengers at one point, or the shit going on in New York, but very much its own thing. This one is much more part of the MCU, much more part of everything. They reference Spider-Man. I think we're gonna get to see a Daredevil and Spider-Man collaboration sooner than later. And so, in the movies and whatnot. But again, it's more of like a realistic version of what would be happening. And that's what the MCU has always been. It's like, what if all this shit happened in the real world, right? Versus like, a movie where everyone's just like, yeah, superheroes. But like, and so we've been along, I think this whole ride to now where it's more commonplace to see superheroes in the normal world. So, and we've known a lot that the show would retire Murdoch and see Fisk, sort of wading into new waters as a legitimate mayoral candidate of New York. But the story is about more than just their reversions to type. It's feels like very much a meditation on human nature. It's a very much of a character piece. It's very much character driven and story driven versus
Oh yeah.
action for the sake of it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got both Murdoch and Fisk are Born Again's Othello, right? It's like a Shakespearean deal here, and so with internal uh threats, pulling them back in, and so set against the wider story of Fisk's campaign against vigilantes and masked heroes, which again, like I'm saying, like this is directly from the comics. Like this happens in the comics. This is a very much a callback to when Kingpin basically outlawed masks, right? Outlawed vigilantes, superheroes, masked heroes, right? And the
Yes.
whole thing with Spider-Man and all
Mhm.
that. And that conflict is very compelling and is being brought from the comics onto the screen, which
Yeah, that was a good story
always
arc too. That was like what, 2 summers ago when
yeah.
Kingpin became mayor and outlawed all vigilantism in New York. Um,
Mm,
which is after the Sokovia Accords, which is AKA superhero registration in the comics. But and it was in the comics, it was like a scandal or scam, I think, or something like that. It's been a while. I can't remember like the whole story verbatim, but it was good. It was good, and hopefully this is just as good or relates to the comic in a lot of ways.
yeah, no, it does. It's right. I mean, it's straight off the page. And the performances from these actors, like they're very much, the good thing about this, they're very much comfortable with these characters. They're very much, you can tell that it's kind of like riding a bike again. They just kind of hop right back into it. They know them very well, and it's almost like they're better at playing them now than they were at the time. And Vince D'Onofrio's performance here is by design softer than it has been previously. He's obviously visibly skinnier, much smaller. Murdoch comments that he's lost weight and gained muscle, but he's definitely much smaller. And by the time we saw him in Echo, he had this comic book style shoulder pad look, in where he, didn't even look human. He had this big boxy, I mean, it was fucking amazing. I loved it so much. I was so happy that they were doing it that way. And then so I thought from then on, now he's gonna look like that. And then we get him here, and I was very much let down. I'll tell you right now, I was very disappointed that Kingpin just kind of looks like a guy, regular dude. Doesn't look imposing, doesn't look at all dangerous or threatening, or like he could smash a brick wall with his fist, which, that's what kind of the appeal of Kingpin is. He's this big, imposing, intimidating figure that can just kind of, muscle his weight, throw his weight around. That's his deal. And he's got no weight to throw around now. So, but there's a reason behind it all. There is a whole reason behind the madness. Uh, the what did he say? He's, first off, born again. Fisk is definitely meant to be having lose weight in the story. So I'm trying to find this little quote. He said, "I knew that I would have to put on weight to do it. I put on about 40 pounds or so for that first Netflix show. I never stopped exercising and doing my normal exercise and stuff. I bulked up and I got, let's face it, lovely and fat, which I thought was amazing. I loved it because I could eat all the carbs and dairy I wanted. The 3 seasons took almost 5 years, and that was intense. I kept that weight on for all that time. In between, I was doing Jurassic World and Magnificent Seven. I was saying to directors, my guy is going to be a big dude." And they'd start making these amazing suits that NASA makes, and they contour to your muscles, and they extend your actual muscle form to a bigger look, and it's really nice, and they are really light. Um, the technical aspect, is only, part of why Fisk looks smaller. But in universe, Fisk has lost weight and changed his physique. And as Matt Murdock notes to him when they face off in the diner, like I said, he said, "Your step is lighter. You've lost weight, gained muscle." And Fisk takes that as an invitation to fight, which he rejects. But it's important. It's an important line for a different reason, because the show uses Matt to highlight Fisk's change, right? To make us know that it's not just oh, they fucked up and he looks different. Like, they really want you to know it's part of the story. Kingpin is defined by his physicality, though, right? Like I'm saying, he's supposed to be this imposing dude. He's big, muscular. He's a trained boxer with the ability to just rip dudes apart on a whim. But that image doesn't fit with this new refined, mayoral candidate that he needs to be. So Fisk has seemingly consciously changed his look to reflect the new era of his life, right? The safer era, and a safer Fisk, right? A guy that is not so imposing and seems more relatable, right? He wants votes. He doesn't want people to be scared of him. He wants to win the mayorship. So not only has he not gained weight, the weight back that he consciously chose to add for Netflix's first seasons of the show, but he's also framed differently in this in the universe. And so in previous appearances, a lot of scenes were constructed to make him, tower over the other characters and make him seem bigger than he even was, and sitting his enemies so that he could loom over them, and subtly shooting him from lower angles just a little bit and everything. But whether it's a conscious thing or not, Daredevil Born Again makes Kingpin look less like a monstrous, hulk of a villain. So he's normalized, he's recontextualized visually to not seem so alien in his size. Yes, he's still tall and big, but he's no longer as, remarkable for the same reason. And that's why his also his wardrobe early on in the show is also different. He's not wearing the white suits and everything. He's just got on his regular business suit. Notably, in the first episode, there's a scene where he looks kind of big, and he stands atop his building as episode one ends with Matt Murdock looking up at him from the street, and it's a reminder that this is still that dude, right? He's still fucking Kingpin, right? They want you to not forget, because he is smaller, that he is still the big boss. And
The
so,
big cheese, yeah.
and
And what he said to his wife too.
mm,
He told her like, look, you're running the business and doing a good job, but in so many words, it was like, remember, I'm still in charge. Even
right,
though you're running everything, you're making connections, you made it bulletproof, like she said, but I'm still in charge.
right,
I just
yeah.
can't be traced to it or connected to it.
hmm and he purposely leaves out the white suit too. Like, he's got that signature white
Yeah.
suit that he always have. Well, they purposely leave that out as well, and give him more darker suits, more elegant, and more notably a lot less showy. And so, because Fisk adopted the white look suit in Daredevil season 3 in live action anyway. He's always had it in the comic, but as a symbolic rebirth of his image, kind of almost like Gandalf the White, how he becomes back and he's all got the all white suit on, right? So that's kind of how he does it in the show in season 3, after his reconnection with Vanessa. The stark contrast of the purity of his white look and the Daredevil aesthetic of Daredevil was also a very conscious thing, and they did that on purpose as well. And as Fisk, sought to ruin Murdoch's reputation, and at the same time, that white suit was a contradiction in terms, right? A surface level look deeply at his odds with his internal motivations, but that way it became sort of a symbol of his power, almost a mockery, um, and like a perversion of what the purity of his suit represented. And you might think that him continuing that symbolism of purity in Daredevil Born Again would make sense, that he's trying to be a mayor and he's trying to seem good or whatever, but it's still an ostentatious look, if not it's not one of a serious political man. You would never see, like a presidential candidate in like a Scarface gangster white suit. So while it can seem, innocent, or it can also seem very dark, but this show definitely has a darker tone than the Netflix
It
version,
does.
to be sure.
Yeah, it does. It
Um,
does.
yeah,
Now,
but
will they keep that tone? Will they
yeah,
keep that tone, or do you think they're gonna switch it up maybe mid-season or
no,
next
no,
season if we do another
it
season?
stays dark. It's a darker show for sure, and that's also intentional. So, but this is definitely not a complaint in my opinion. I am wildly happy with it so far. It's not. I think it's the best, the best series so far. Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, I
the
definitely
darkest. I
agree.
wanted Moon Knight to be like this. Like, honestly, like
I
that's
wish
what I
Moon
want.
Knight was like that.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping season 2 will be. I'm hoping that, there's the old meme, or not meme, but sort of saying that people, Marvel's back. And I don't, I hesitate to say that. But definitely, the show does, follow the same vibe of Wolverine and Daredevil, Deadpool and Wolverine rather. And that's what I was hoping, like Deadpool and Wolverine came out and I'm like, is this a fluke? Is this a one-off? Or is this is this just a symbol of their changing of their vibe, so of their mind? So here we go. This is another good example. Now, Fantastic Four is the decider, the deciding factor. Really, it could totally be ass, and it could be dope as fuck. It really could. Like, Fantastic Four could be dope, even with all the issues that people complain about. I still think it could be phenomenal. It looks like really well done. All the footage that we've seen, so the storyline and everything. If they keep this up, and then we got the Russo brothers and Downey with the Avengers movies, I mean, Marvel could be back. The MCU was magical, man. It was dope, and now hopefully, we'll get to see some of that good shit again. Uh,
Now that's
my
what
man,
the people want. That's what the people want, Reno. They want to. I mean, you got to get a lot of people put a lot of time and effort
yeah,
into the MCU. They got a lot invested in it. Morally, respectfully as fans and as casuals, and they want to see it. They want to see, because like we were wild. We were. It's like giving you good food, and then all of a sudden
hang on, Slade.
serve you just serve bad food. So I mean, I get it. And like you said, we just gotta take it one day at a time and hope that they keep this up and they keep listening to the fans and giving us what we want. Like we paying for Disney Plus, and you bought Disney Plus out for the fans and to give us stuff like Daredevil Reborn and I don't know, some of the Star Wars stuff that we got that we actually like. I mean, you know, like it or love it, that's what you said, or not love it. That's what Disney promised us, that this is what Disney Plus is for, to give us those things that not can't quite make it to the big screen, but it's good enough for your couch. And that's what we want. We want to be wild on our couches, man. We want stuff like
Wild
Daredevil
on the couch.
Reborn. Bro, I want to be wild on. Listen,
I
last
want to be
night
wild on
watching it, I was wild on my couch last night. I felt good. When I
Yeah, I
got
was
up from
wild on the
watching Daredevil, I was like, yeah, I was like, yo, this is good, bro. This is worth my 150 something bucks a year for Disney Plus.
couch. Yeah. Yeah, I agree,
But
Slade, man. I hope they do. Episode 3 gives us more suited up Daredevil, more action. I think it will. I think it will, because I think episode 2 was kind of a lull. It's peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. But
Peaks and
I
Valleys,
don't want
yeah.
to. Yeah, we'll talk about episode 3 next week for sure. Norton Rad says it's okay, but nothing new. Penguin was better. At least Disney stayed true to Netflix version and didn't change a lot from that. Waiting for Punisher to appear. Hopefully it gets darker with the Muse. Uh yes, Punisher is coming. The Muse is dope and definitely darker. Muse is like he's a creepy, it's just a creepy character. The way they did it. BDBGP salute, how you living? How you living? Slade in the building, yes
Oh,
sir.
BDBGP. What up?
I said I'm a big fan of the stealth suit. Can't wait for that. Yeah, man. I want to see the different suits. I love that we saw that row of masks, the Daredevil mask. So we'll definitely get to see some other suits. That the all black
Yeah, we
suit,
named.
yellow
Yeah,
suit.
yeah, the all black suit, the yellow suit, the
Mhm.
stealth suit, and all of them are recent. All of them are recent suits from recent comic art, story arcs.
Yeah, I would love to see him fight the real demon in this show, man. I wanted to see him fight the Hand, but this is definitely more about him and Kingpin and a more street level deal. Because Daredevil's a street level hero, but so is
Yes, he
Spider
is.
Man.
Yes.
But they still do supernatural shit. They end up in the cosmos. They end up, Daredevil ends up doing all kinds of supernatural shit when he's dealing with the Hand and all that. So it gets crazy. But
And the Hand is supernatural. They can
yeah,
bring back the
heroes for
dead.
hire. Yes, Hand is supernatural. They be out here immortal. I mean, Bullseye just fell off that building and lived. I mean, he splattered on that bitch and he lived. So he's clearly immortal in some way, right? So yes, I'm
I
not a
mean,
fan
well,
of Skinny Pin
it's
either, bro.
listen, people. It's possible. If you've seen the movie Last Breath, the man didn't have oxygen for almost 30 minutes, and he lived and had no side effects, no nothing. Got married and got back in the water to still do his deep diving job. So if that can happen, Bullseye can fall off a roof and still live. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
Yep.
see the parallels. I see the parallels.
Yep. Yep.
Kingpin is a
It can
force of
happen.
nature in the comics, but could lead up to a build up. He is, man, and I mean, it feels like he built up to that force of nature in Echo, and he was huge, and he looked awesome. He looked more comic accurate than he ever had. But now it's like he's on a down slope. So hopefully we'll see something, man. They should have gave him a bodysuit. Yes, Penguin looked more accurate. Well, I mean, let's not say Penguin looked accurate, because I mean, my man was not looking like this. But that's what I would have loved to see. I love that he picked up the top hat in the end, though. That was peak. That was peak
That
as
was peak.
fuck. But I mean, whack, whack, whack,
Yeah.
whack, whack. I mean, they're going obviously for a more realistic look, a more a more real world realism type deal. I mean, that's what the MCU's always been about. So I'm not ever gonna be like, you know, dismayed or surprised that they don't go with anything super. I mean, obviously, I mean, even the colors have to be, muted and earthy. So we're not expecting super duper comic accuracy, but at least having him as his imposing figure was, I thought, very important. So he seemed to focus on his intellect, and 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 AMS street smarts, and AM street smarts and arms. AMS. Oh, I think and AM Street. I don't know. He's probably saying Street Marks. Silver Samurai trained Kingpin in the ways of the samurai in a Wolverine comic. Yeah, bro. Kingpin can throw down. He can box. He can
Yes, he can.
got
He's
martial art.
excellent. He is
Uh,
an excellent hand-to-hand combatant. Very and if you ain't got no skills, you ain't got no business fighting Kingpin. I can tell you that now. We can.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Muse
yeah,
is
you can't. Yeah,
serial
you can't
killer.
be the average Joe. Yeah, the average Joe ain't beating Kingpin.
Yeah,
You got to be above average.
yeah. Muse is like a Rorschach mask thing going on. Like a very like yeah. It just looks mad creepy and shit. It's dope. Um, yeah. No, I don't think they're gonna fuck Doom up. From what we've seen in the what do you call it, concept art and whatnot, it's pretty dope. It looks pretty dope. um Midnight Suns, yes, that would be phenomenal. I cannot wait for them to finally get Blade out and see how that all goes, and hopefully we'll get a Ghost Rider and shit. Do I think he'll have a bigger scheme for mayor? I mean, he's played, definitely got a plan, man. He's definitely scheming something. He's not trying to be a good guy, you know. Will we get Luke Cage and Born Again? That is the question, Slade. I think though it's kind of been hinted at that these characters will make their ways in. Um, but I don't want to give nothing away. But just you know, it'll be cool. It works out. But yes, it's been it's been, I think, almost a decade since they did the first Daredevil, um, which introduced most audiences to the character. You know, he wasn't exactly very popular. Obviously, Ben Affleck made him more of a mainstream name. But yeah, Charlie Cox
Mm.
as Daredevil, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. But yeah, when that came out, the series, people liked it. People loved it. They thought it was dope. Critics liked it. Fans liked it. Nerds liked it. Everybody dug it. But this one is definitely more on the vibe of a comic book. It definitely gives you that feeling of like a graphic novel, of that vibe of like the shots were set up like comic panels. I mean, you could just picture the fucking speech bubbles. You know what I'm saying? It was very very pleasing to a comic fan like me who's been dying and waiting for some real action, some real comic book vibes, man. I haven't been getting them from these lately, these past several movies that they've done. um the stuff DC is doing is looking a lot more like this, and this is, I don't know. It's like they're talking. It's like they're getting together and they're like both doing the same thing. It's a good time to be a comic fan. It's a good time to be a fan of these characters, for sure. But yeah, this show picks up a few years after the events of the original series, with the law firm of Nelson, Murdoch, and Page is still doing their thing, doing their part for Hell's Kitchen, helping those in need. But I think they're very happy right now, and where the show starts out, it's very sad. I mean, it's very tragic. Foggy is, you know, the one character that everyone you know feels bad for or whatever have you. So killing him was a low blow, man. Killing Foggy was a low blow. Even Stu was texting me like, "No, not Foggy."
Like,
It's
no,
yeah,
dang.
but it
Because
was
at one point, Reno,
it
I
was
thought he was
powerful.
gonna live. Like,
Powerful.
yeah, I thought he was gonna live. Like she was holding the wound. He was looking at
Mhm.
her, and then everything started slowing down. I was like, nah, don't do it. Then they kept panning back to the roof. And, you hear Daredevil. If you're paying attention, you hear Devil listening for his heartbeat, and
Yeah.
he's hearing his heart slowing down. And then he's looking at Bullseye. As soon as his heart stopped, you see him. He's like, no, and then he just throws him off the roof. It's like and it was so cold the way he did it. Like he just looked at him, like just threw him off the roof like he was trash. Like bye. But it was
Yeah, he
definitely
deserved.
definitely well acted, well played, very, 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 very powerful. And you know, seeing that, when he caught his breath, after Foggy died, and then
Yeah.
Karen turns around because she thinks it's Daredevil that fell off the roof, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Oh man!" But it kind of follows. It does kind of follow. It does follow because in the comic book, Matt Murdock and Karen, at first they really didn't dig each other at first, and Foggy and him had a crush on her. Foggy and Matt had a crush on her. But in the comics, she also left to go to California to become an actress. And when
Mm.
she came back from Foggy's funeral, she said she's been on the West Coast. She said she was in Cali. But she didn't say what she was doing. She just said, I'm out west now. And he was like, yeah. And then she gave him a little piece of horn. That's comic accurate, with her going out west. Because that's what she did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Matt had some other love interests in his life. But, them following that part of the storyline, um,
It's dope.
is huge. It's dope. It actually fits. Because originally Disney wanted to write Karen and Foggy, those characters, they didn't even want to bring whoever the original writers were before they fired them, they weren't going to bring them back. They just was like done with them. Like, all right, that's it. This is a wrap. We're good. But um, whoever the new writers were like, no, we got to bring them back, and they actually stuck to the comic script. Uh, like we said, we like that. That's nerdy for us, and we can get with that. Oh, look at Foggy, man. Dang.
Oh yeah, and then this dude walks out and he sees him
Yeah, that's my
with
nerd.
his
Yeah,
mask
that's my
off,
nerd nitpick.
and he's like,
Yeah, that's my nerd nitpick, man.
man.
Matt, that's my nerd nitpick. Yeah, that's my nerd. That's my nerd nitpick, man. Stop. Why does everybody got to know? Stop.
Well, in the
Nobody even
comic,
have to take the mask off.
he's got to have everyone. He's got to have like people who know his secret kind of thing. And now Foggy, they took one away and they had to bring one in.
Oh, added one.
Yeah. So basically, he's replacing Foggy as one of Matt's inner circle who knows his identity. Which Spider-Man, all these characters have a inner circle that knows their identity, much like even He-Man.
Yeah, yeah,
Man's arm.
yeah. Well, but
Well,
wait a
he
minute. But at least
nope.
in He-Man, when we first saw He-Man in the intro song of He-Man, it tells you who knows he's He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
After that, there ain't no surprises, bro. Like there's no all of a sudden this person finds out and that person finds out. There's none of that in He-Man. We know
Yeah.
Orko Man at Arms and the
Yeah.
sorceress know that he's He-Man.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like I said, I think it's a trade-off. I think they wanted more than just Karen to know who he was, so it's a trade. They need someone to be that voice of reason, and argue with him when he wants to go be Daredevil, or argue with him when he doesn't want to be Daredevil anymore. That's basically what they're there for. Just like Karen right off the bat was like, is that gonna help? Is that because honestly, he's like, He's like, I promised myself I wouldn't be Daredevil again.
Yeah, see
Well,
right there. Yeah.
you promised yourself, so you didn't promise anyone else. You're not breaking your word. You didn't have any reason to do that anyway. Why'd you promise that to yourself anyway? That doesn't even make any sense. And then she's like, even Karen's like, well, you think that's gonna help something? Like, what the fuck you doing that for? That's not gonna make nothing better. And his answer is, well, it's not gonna make it worse. Like, bro, come on, no, come on, bro, come on.
And that's the thing that I think that kind of ruins the superhero movie or genre for today. Is like you said, they gotta have a little entourage, and then they struggle with being the hero. Like oh man, I don't know, it hurts. I've been out there so long, it's taking a toll on me. What do my friends think? You know, how many posts am I getting on social media? Like, if you're the hero, you don't care. You're out there doing the thing because it's the right thing to do. Like Spider Man, Ben Parker said, "With great power comes great responsibility." Like the whole thing with Spider Man, like even with the new neighborhood Spider Man show, they skip over one good attribute of Peter Parker is what made Peter Parker Peter Parker. Is the fact that when he got his powers, he was real cocky. He didn't care. He wanted to make some money. He was already broke before he got his powers. Now he got his new powers. He's like, yo, I can make some money. I can do
Yeah.
this. Like he really had a plan. And then when that guy ran past him, and weeks later, he caught him in that warehouse and found out that's the guy that killed his Uncle Ben. And after he had that argument with his Uncle Ben, where Uncle
Mm,
Ben was telling him, like, look, you need to be more responsible. Like, you need to understand that you just can't have this happy go lucky attitude and this cockiness that's about you. But he didn't know he was Spider Man. And he was like, look, with great power come great responsibility. And when Peter got it, it was too late. That's what makes him Spider Man. That's what makes him put the costume on with the mask and go out and fight every day. That's what makes him protect his identity, protect the people he loves. That's what makes him put his life on the line for New York City. Here,
for
you know,
New York.
we our heroes now they just struggle with the thing. Oh, my friends, I don't know why. I should do it. I don't want to be the devil anymore. Like, stop it. If you can do it, do it. If you have the means to do it, do it. And then in another instance, because it's contradictory, he goes back, he threatens Kingpin and says, "You get out of line. I'm putting the mask back on. I'm coming for you." But then again, he tells Karen, I don't really want to do it. I don't want to put the mask on. Make up your mind. Whoever's writing
Yeah.
this, make your mind up. You can't walk the fence. Either he's going to be Daredevil or he's not. And it's also to fill a plot hole because now that Kingpin knows he's Daredevil, and any given time, he can just be like, "Oh, he punched me in the face. I'm suing. That's Matt Murdock."
Yeah. I
So that's
mean,
why you got to keep the superhero's identity secret.
I mean, it's yeah. He keeping it secret, but the reason that he's got to have somebody know who is his identity, it's for fucking dialogue purposes. He would be, so that they can have a drama show, so that they have somebody he can talk to. Because if he can't talk to nobody about it, that shit get annoying. And he's like,
But remember in the comics, he would go to the church and talk to the priest.
yeah, he would have somebody that knew who he was. He always had somebody who
But
knew his identity.
hmm, no, I'm saying like in the comics, he would go like take Batman. He talked to Alfred, Spider Man. He talked to Mary Jane.
Right?
But
They
that's
knew
different,
their identity.
right? They knew who he was. But in
They knew
Daredevil,
somebody
like
like that.
certain heroes, right? Certain heroes, they just they just can't do it. Like Rorschach, he would never tell anybody who his identity was because he had no conflicts. And
Yeah,
sometimes the
well,
hero can
and
just
and
have no
and
conflicts.
a writer can do that with Rorschach because Rorschach isn't a leading character who needs to carry a whole comic series on his own. And if you're going to carry a whole comic series, and carry a story or be a lead, you got to have somebody you can fucking talk to. You know what I mean? You got to have someone you can have dialogue with. And that's all it is. They're just giving him somebody else that he can have dialogue with because Foggy's now gone. If Foggy didn't die, no one else would have ever known his identity. It would have just stayed Foggy and Karen. Only reason they did that shit is literally for the stupid ass reason of giving him someone to talk to. That's it.
No, no, I get it. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's just I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not even that they know. It's just that he'll
It
struggle with it.
it
Like he'll be like,
sucks. I was
"Oh,
mad when that dude found out. I don't want him to
I was
find out.
too. I was hot
Yeah,
about that." And they also are like a conflict of interest because I can see if they did it to help keep his morals in line, but they do it like they feed him information now, and
right. Humanize the character. Yeah.
right? It's
So
yeah,
if he was,
Daredevil was rough and gritty. Daredevil was just rough and gritty, bro. Like I liked it when he was in the Netflix and he was going out at night. He was kicking ass and taking names, coming back in the morning, patching up his wounds, going back out. Man, that's keeping it real. That's like Batman.
yeah, I hate when they do storylines where it's like, oh, now I gotta wait for you to fucking get the fucking, get the nerve again or whatever to happen so you can be the fucking superhero character. That is the reason I'm watching the goddamn show in the first place. I'm watching the show for Daredevil. This is not the Matt Murdock show. Nobody's watching the Matt
No,
Murdock show.
no, nobody wants to see Matt Murdock because he
No
has
one's
no
watching
issues.
that show. So the
Yeah,
show is Daredevil. So eventually we got to get back to Daredevil. Now, if you just did all that so that you could purposely, avoid action scenes, that's just silly, but hopefully people will get the drama or get the storyline and because I mean, remember, they've been listening to our complaints, and what is our main complaint been is the writing. The writing, the writing, the writing, the writing, the writing. That's the main complaint we've had from day one with Marvel and Star Wars and Disney, period.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree.
Everything
And
we did
and
complain about boils down to and comes back to the writing.
it does. It does. It really does. Because, like I said, everybody doesn't have to know he's Daredevil. You don't always have to give it up. Sometimes that is
No,
the coup de
everybody don't have to
jour.
know.
Yeah,
They need to
sometimes that is the sweetest thing. Right.
they need
Sometimes
a
that's the
couple.
sweetest thing is right how he got away with everybody not knowing, or how clever the hero is at keeping his identity secret. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely got to keep a secret identity, but at the same time I get he's got to have somebody to talk to.
Right. Like in Batman, the way they do it cleverly in the comics of Batman is see, and then they also have to have like a moral figure or somebody to mentor
Every
them.
superhero got somebody that knows
So
their identity that
that
they can talk to.
right, or that they can but in Batman, the way it's cleverly written is Jim Gordon is Batman's moral compass because he'll talk to Jim, but Jim is also secretly his guide because he's the same age as his father, and he also kind of reminds him of his father. So he'll talk to Jim Gordon, he'll take his advice, and he'll do whatever, he'll go along with Jim Gordon on things. But when he talks, but the way he talks to Jim Gordon is dope because Jim will say something, he'll say something, and then if Batman gets it or he has no quarrels with it, Jim turns around and he's gone. But as long as there's some dialogue between them where Batman has to answer or Batman just has to question it or tell him something, he's there. But it's like Jim gives him his direction and he's gone. And that right there, that's the dopest way you can do it. Alfred is the one that tells him, like, look, it's good that you're doing this, but you're doing too much. Like you're not eating. You haven't been home in 3 nights. When are we gonna change out this bat costume? Because it's gotta reek because you've been wearing it for a week. Like, things like that. The simple things. But that's what keeps back. I think that's what a lot of writers try to do when they write for these stories. They try to make it like Batman, where he's got the Jim Gordon and the Alfred in one ear, and then he's got a sidekick in another. But they just fail to do it because they got to give up too much in order to get back, the support system that Batman has. And you got to be a better writer if you're going to do it. You got to
Hmm.
be more creative. You got to be more creative.
Smoke said, I feel that happens way too much in the comics. Like they struggle with the identity of try to differentiate the hero from the life from every
Yep.
hero life from everyday life. Like y'all said, it's a Daredevil show. We want to see Daredevil. I mean, that's just it. It's not these other characters' show. It's a Daredevil show. I wish that
It
you know
is.
That's always going to be my complaint if I ever have one, is that, I want to see more of the superhero. That's, it's the reason why we're watching the thing in the first place. I don't get the point of, I get the idea of, giving making sparingly so that it seems more important, but like you don't quite so much have to emphasize the importance of a character that's the main superhero of the show. Like, we get it. It's the Daredevil show. You don't have to tell us how important Daredevil is for fucking 3 episodes. Like, just show Daredevil doing this fucking thing. But for the most part, I think they did a great job, and I can't wait to see further seasons. I can't wait to see everybody's opinion of the other characters that come in. But one of the things I'm really excited about that is related to this is the Punisher special presentation. Officially announced by Marvel's head of TV streaming and animation, Brad Winderbaum, in February 2025. The Punisher special presentation will be filmed this year and debut on Disney Plus in 2026. That's right, folks. So you remember the show, not the show, the movie. It was not a movie or a show. It's a special presentation. It was like an hour long. It was on Disney Plus, an hour and a half long. Sorry, and it was like a man thing. What was it called? It had Elsa Bloodstone and Man Thing. Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night. The Werewolf Show, I think it was called. Yeah, the that
Yeah,
thing right
Werewolf by
there
Night. That's,
was Werewolf by Night. That was a special presentation, and
which they did promise more. They were going to do more special
right.
presentations, and I
And,
guess
and, and so they are
this is
now.
more.
This is more. Yes. Punisher is that dude, and the Punisher presentation, uh, I think if you're not gonna do another Punisher show, then at least give us a special presentation, because we need more clarification on how dope Punisher is, because that second season made us question. Season
A
1, he was
whole lot.
dope. Season 2, I'm like, what's going on here? Y'all need to reset this thing.
Yeah, he was doing too much crying, too much soul searching, too much detective work.
But
I can't get with that. That ain't Punisher.
well, I mean, like I said the other night, if you read the comics, that's just how they are. They're boring as fuck. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of sitting there in the room contemplating. It's a lot of text. It's a lot of bullshit going on, and
The
because
80s comics were like, whoa. That's all 80s comics, Reno. That you can't.
yeah, yeah.
That's all 80s comics. All
So
80s.
that's that's
Like the other day, I was trying
what
to
it
read a
is.
GI Joe comic, and one of the character bubbles was like this long. I'm like, damn. And they sitting there having a whole conversation
Yeah.
about something, and I'm like, damn, can we? And they were supposed to be scaling a mountain to
All right.
assault a corporate fortress, but they were at the bottom of the mountain in the snow, talking for about 5 pages. I was like, man, what is going on? Like, can we get this rolling, please? Like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's Punisher. Punisher is not the character that sits around and you know, you know what I mean, and it just wants.
Well, that's how I thought of
I
him
don't know,
too. That's how I thought of him too.
like
And
like
all my life, I
like
thought of
he.
Punisher was like this action packed, constantly ba 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 ba. Like, that's what I thought. And then I would pick up so many Punisher comics over the years, and I would go into comics, I pick them up, and I'm like, "Where's the fucking action? Where's the fucking action? Next, where's the fucking action? Okay, how about War Journal? Where's the fucking action? Armory? It's just a fucking list of his goddamn weapons. What the fuck am I looking at? Whole comics
Warzone,
is a list of
Warzone,
his weapons. War Journal,
Warzone had
Warzone,
a little.
or the movie
Yeah,
Warzone.
Warzone had Warzone. Yeah, Warzone had a little bit of action in it. But see, Punisher comics were written like they're written a certain way. Like he tells a story. All right, like one comic I read,
Depends on the
he went
Punisher comic.
into he went into
Several Punisher.
he went into like a drug house where they were manufacturing drugs, like RoboCop. He goes in there, he tears the whole place up, and he actually robs the place and takes all their money and leaves. And at the end of the comic, he says, "Look, we got to fund this war somehow, you know." We're not the March of Dimes, and nobody gives to us. We got to take what we need in order to keep the war going. It was dope. It was dope. And sometimes Punisher would be in there, and it would be dialogue heavy, but it would when it did that, it'd be things about his past that will either come back to haunt him or something like that.
Yeah, because they
Yeah,
telling
I
the
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, we back in the '80s, most comics were written that way. They had a lot of dialogue. In the '90s is when the Punisher really had more action-packed comics. So if you wanted more action in
Yeah.
comic books with Punisher, you got to go to the '90s comics where
Yeah.
they really took off with them. But in the '80s, they definitely had a lot of dialogue.
Well, Punisher 2099 is another one that you get a lot of action. But the Punisher is officially returning to the MC universe right now. So alongside several other iconic heroes from the Defenders saga, the Defenders, from Luke Cage and them. And so John Barenthal will officially reprise the role as Frank Castle in Daredevil Born Again's first season. You guys will see, and then that you know character, the same guy that made his debut in the first Netflix Daredevil, same character, going on to star on his own 2-season spinoff, which ran until 2019. The Punisher has been missing in action in the MCU ever since. I've been like, where the fuck is the Punisher? Making his long-awaited return now in the Born Again show. But all the more exciting, in my opinion, is that Marvel has officially announced that John Barenthal Punisher is going to return after this show in his special presentation, which they're calling their mini movies. They're like hour and a half movies that they do. That they did, I think, one of that they told us they were going to keep giving more of, and they never really did. But now they are.
Yeah.
And it's fucking The Punisher. And I'm hell of happy. Barenthal is co-writing the script alongside Ronaldo Marcus Green, who will also direct the special. Now, although fans don't really know much about this upcoming presentation, and its announcement is enough to spark, enough excitement, enough stirring up, enough shit on social media and stuff like that. So the conversation will begin, and the theories and the rumors will begin. But not only is Frank Castle returning, exciting, for this character's future, but I think it solidifies him in the MCU, which means we'll actually be getting, Punisher in like Secret Wars and shit like that. So, and I think that's important because Punisher, in my opinion, is dope when he comes around the other characters because like they don't really get him and they kind of don't fuck with him, and he's kind of like, some of them even see him as a villain, and it's crazy. But at the same time, he keeps it 100, and his fucking intentions are pure, and motherfuckers know. And so he's a dope character with mad nuances and mad prisms to his fucking angles to his fucking personality. And John Barenthal is the perfect actor to kind of pull that off because he's very much has a way of he's a good ass fucking actor for one thing. He can do all the emotions, right? And so after several years of dipping quality in its projects, the MCU is taking a step in the right direction, I think, here with this Punisher presentation, with Wolverine and Deadpool, with Daredevil Born Again. They realized again that most of the fans of this stuff are men. And so keeping men in mind when you make stuff is important. Like, we want to see dope ass female characters. We want to see dope badass females. We want to see females who are dope. We want to see all that, but not at the expense of our male characters, right? Not at the expense. You don't have to do it at the expense. You can do it with. So that's what we like. We see this happening because we love both. But now, a common complaint of the post Endgame MCU is that certain films and series try to go too big, focusing on big cosmic characters who aren't easy to relate to as the more grounded Marvel heroes. I don't really agree all that much because I feel like the cosmic characters in Marvel are just as, endearing, or just as, deep, if not more so, than a lot of the street level heroes, and definitely in a lot of the writing. So it's just all in how they write it. But my opinion is that they haven't done fans people care about. No one cares about a lot of these characters. Cosmic schmosmic, pick the ones that people care about, and you're fine. There's a lot of cosmic characters that people actually care about and want to see something, want to see them, want to see what's going on with them, want to
Right.
see them in live action, right? So and fans have often called for more street level stories where the multiverse isn't really a thing, right? It's not really at stake here. And so now it seems as though Marvel Studios has finally heard these pleas and started giving us these, action, these grounded, these like, Daredevil and Deadpool and Wolverine and all that good shit and Punisher. So I feel that they're listening to the fans. Wolverine and Daredevil was definitely a hint that they might be listening. Daredevil is more of confirmation that they've been listening. Uh, Fantastic Four
It's yet to be seen.
is really, that's really remains to be seen. I'm gonna have an open mind and I'm gonna try to like it. And I'm not gonna lie if I don't like it at all. But if I don't like it, I don't like it. It don't mean that I'm hating, to quote the great Common. But now it seems as though you know, they are listening though. So I think, and Daredevil Born Again is a good step in the right, in this initiative. So returning audiences to these streets of New York, another small scale yet compelling battle between Daredevil and Kingpin. Right? There's no
Good
universe
versus evil.
incursions. Right? Good versus evil, but no universal incursions. Right? Nothing major. This is all within
Yeah,
a
yeah,
city.
no space stuff. Yeah, no
No
space stuff.
space, no
Just
space, no
yeah,
space
just
dogs.
yeah. Nah,
No
none of that.
talking
None of that.
space
It's just
dogs.
nothing. Just regular good versus evil. Well, listen, with that, I gotta roll out. It's that
All
time
right.
for me. I gotta
All
get ready
right.
to go fight crime like Daredevil.
All right.
Do what I gotta do. But
We could see
Daredevil Born
Daredevil.
Again.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Let's keep it there. Let's keep it there. Understand? Now, before I go, how many episodes? You know how many episodes we're getting?
Yeah. Let me see. I forget. Oh, here we go. It looks like. Oh, I'm giving you the whole schedule. Okay, March 4th obviously was 1 and 2. March 11th you'll get to see number 3. March 8th you'll get to see March 18th you'll get to see number 4. March 25th you'll get to see number 5. March 25th you'll also see number 6. So March 25th, guys, is a two banger, 5 and 6. April 1st you'll get episode 7. April 8th you'll get episode 8, and then April 15th you will get the last and final episode 9.
Mm,
So 9
9
episodes.
episodes.
Yeah.
And they're about an hour. If they're about an hour each, like these, we're good.
Yeah,
Good.
thereabouts. I mean, 45 minutes
No,
to
no. Yeah, 45 minutes to an hour. I'm gonna stay on the hour side. I ain't gonna jip myself. About an hour.
yeah,
Still
the
50
glass is half
minutes.
full.
Yeah. 50 minutes least of the,
Mhm, mhm.
but at least 50 minutes. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But with
Right.
that, I gotta roll. I'll catch you on
All right.
Saturday.
All right, fam. Be
All right.
safe. One.
All right. Peace.
One. The announcement of the Punisher special presentation reveals that Marvel does intend to tell more grounded stories in the future, more street level stories, more character based stories, and more action, violent stories, and more dude shit. Right now, following he's following characters who operate in the same realm as Daredevil and that kind of thing. So, and this could lead to the return of more Defenders saga characters like your Jessica Jones and Luke Cages, or might just focus on newer MCU vigilantes like White Tiger and other yet unnamed characters that they want to bring in, because they want to bring in a lot of the new characters and stuff. So, uh, I can't be like hella mad at it though. It's not hella exciting to me, right? I'm not excited about Kamala Khan, right? That doesn't do anything for me just because it's a character I didn't grow up with, right? Give me Storm, give me Rogue, give me Jean Grey, right? Give me the Phoenix or something like that. But that's me, I'm an old head, so they got to keep it, they want to keep it, for the youth. So that's cool, that's cool. We can do that. Just make sure that they respect the elders. Okay, make sure that Kamala Khan respects Professor X. That do that, and I'm good, right? I'm good. If she's like making fun of him and shit, like don't do that shit, please. Like, just don't do that. It's stupid. It's corny. It would never happen in real life. What was you doing that for? Like, that's what the problem was with a lot of their movies. Love and Thunder, Marvels, like, don't come on. There's no need. Like we can all have fun. We can all have fun together. Inclusive, right? Inclusion, right? Diversity. That's what we like. We want the real shit. And this is very good news for fans who were hoping for more of that street level side of Marvel. And it could also suggest that the MCU will indeed take a more grounded approach to its future movies as well. Because, kind of winding down from the multiverse sagas and shit like that, which honestly, it would be the perfect way to move into X-Men, keeping that street level, X-Men down to earth vibe. Smoke said it'd be dope to see more street level characters, Night Thrasher, Cloak and Dagger. Definitely Cloak and Dagger, Night Thrasher. I think that we will get those characters, as a matter of fact. And if it does take a more grounded approach to the future movies, like you've got the Spider-Man movie coming yet, which could, bring Spider-Man back to, back to the grind, back to the roads, and back to the streets and alleys and rooftops, and that kind of story that has been woefully absent from Tom Holland's version of the character. You've got the Black Suit Saga, which, as cosmic as that ends up being, and how it, I would love to see Secret Wars set that off, much like it did in the comics. But the Punisher special presentation is not a confirmation, but rather an indication that Marvel will take a step back from the big multiversal stories in the future, at least on the, and they kind of always have with the shows and special presentations. The shows and special presentations generally are more grounded, are more street level, if you will, for the most part. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah. Yeah. So, focusing on more character driven dramas with lower stakes but more emotional weight, that kind of thing, which is good shit. It's what we've been asking for in a way. We want good writing. That's all we want, because so far I've not been impressed with what they've been writing, for myriad reasons. But yeah, beyond the exciting indication that Marvel will tell a more grounded type, story in the future, the franchise's latest announcement about this Punisher presentation also reveals that the MCU will return to a strategy that has been working or worked in the past, is what made it great. And or oh, that I don't want to say that, but in its most troubled era, the MCU needs more special presentations like this, like the Punisher and stuff like that, to flesh out the universe without, overburdening audiences with, all these different movies and series and shit. It's like, because the special presentation, it's a lower budget, admittedly, even just in the fact that it's shorter, but they can flesh out characters or do shit like that we don't want to waste time in the movie doing, origin stories, things like that would be great. Like, let's take care of those outside of the movie. Shit like that, shit to make you care about the character, shit to make you know who these characters are and stuff like that. That's what these should be used for, because these are so rich. These characters are so rich. Comic books are so rich in general. So it's definitely the way to flesh these characters out. But so far, the MCU has released 2 special presentations It was the Werewolf by Night and then the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So to correct what I said earlier, but both of those projects were highly praised by critics and fans. I loved them both. Made it all the more strange that it took Marvel 3 years now to announce any new special presentations. But now the Punisher, the new Punisher special suggests that Marvel will indeed return to this winning storytelling format. But there's a new wave of these special presentations, I think, that would have helped flesh out a lot of these characters. Punisher obviously is a no-brainer. Helms his own one-off project, a beloved character that we always just want more of. And then there's plenty of other outside the box choices to carry on their own their own special presentations. Not DC. We'll talk about DC in a second, but thereafter. But Isaiah Bradley, the Truth comic. Go read Truth if you haven't read that, by the way. But Isaiah Bradley's history, they've talked about this. They've had this character. They put him in movies. Like, people are just like, who the fuck is that? And they need to know who that is. They need to know about Isaiah Bradley. That story is dope. The original one, the art wasn't all that, but the story is fucking awesome. We got to see that. We got to see a special presentation of Isaiah Bradley, which would explore, his brief career as Captain America during the Cold War, his whole thing. It could also take the opportunity to tell his story. I mean, the years that he was tortured by the government and all that. I mean, get into it. Also, you could introduce characters that might not be popular enough yet to helm their own movies, right? They still haven't made a Nova movie for some reason. They could do a Nova, a Silver Surfer, a Norrin Rad movie, Ghost Rider, Midnight Suns. They need shit like that. You know, we've been hearing these names, being tossed around, by fans in hopes of getting their own special presentations. And but I think the format itself is the perfect way to soft launch any character for the MCU, get us ready for them. But if proven popular enough, they would eventually, star in their own movie. Once people see the presentation, they're like, oh, I like that dude, and he gets hella hype, maybe some merch, builds up some hype, then they get a movie. But that it's a good way to gauge audience interest and shit like that. So with a low risk, high reward type deal. But as of now, as of the announcement, there are no details about what the Punisher special presentation is going to be about, or exactly the date that it does drop. But there are many exciting possibilities, obviously, for the story. Of course, the most obvious, of course, the special presentation would bridge the gap that in Frank Castle's story between the events of the Punisher season 2 and Daredevil Born Again, which is probably what they would do. That's what I think. Now, because he was missing in action for 6 years, 6 years between the shows, giving Marvel a lot of room to tell whatever story they really want during that time frame. Also, you can have flashbacks of his past, whatever they want to do. It coincides with the blip, right, during this time. So who knows what goes on. Conversely, the special presentation here could take place after Born Again season 1, right? Could feature Punisher as he continues to fight against Kingpin. Not to give too much away. Wilson seems Fisk is sort of the new big bad of the whole street level MCU, and as he should be, as he fucking should be, as it is in the comics. So I love to see that, and he might be featured as a even a villain, because originally he's a Spider-Man villain. I mean, he's a Spider-Man villain to me anyway. That's how I feel. I when I think of Kingpin, it's a Spider-Man villain to me. So I want to see Spider-Man interact. I want to see Daredevil and Spider-Man interact too, because that goes down in the comics. But the Punisher movie, I'll call it the SP, the special presentation. The Punisher SP could be the next project to feature Kingpin, as the villain, right? Showing that he's continuing to be the overarching, right, big bad, right, for the New York City shows and movies. But they might also try to integrate the Punisher into the MCU, use it as a way to bring the weave the storylines together, follow the Punisher doing what he does, hunting down criminals, and that's what I just want. I really want to see just these characters just doing what they do, just doing what they do. Don't take my comic character and put him in this situation, or let's put him in that situation, or let's see what this character looks like when he's doing this. No, just fucking have them do what they do. That's it. That's all we want. Want to see Punisher punishing, right? That's it. I want to see Punisher punishing. Exactly. No more origin stories. We don't need that. Let's just see them in action. Let's just start right off in action. They're doing their shit. What am I gonna say? Kingpin did show up in the Spider-Man animated series. Oh yeah, yeah. He's a Spidey villain. Overall, at least in my mind, that's where I seen it. But yeah, in a world running rampant now with supervillains, I think it'd be dope to see Frank Castle, out here just doing his Punisher thing. I mean, make him a fucking big character. You could make him huge. He could be huge. He could be fucking huge. He could be dope. Give him the costume. That fucking silly ass t-shirt with the spray paint. Give him the fucking costume. God, I want to see that costume. The fucking Punisher costume. But hey, you know what would be sick? You know what I would really love if they did it? Not in no silly ass way like they tried to do in Wolverine and Deadpool, but like do a multiverse thing where we actually see these heroes in their comic book accurate costumes, right? Like I know a lot of these costumes they just will not work in live action. But to that I say, look at cosplay. 'Cause I've seen some cosplay, bro, that I've been like, wow, Marvel's trying to convince us that they can't do some of these costumes in live action, that they won't look good. I've seen them straight out of the comic books looking way doper, not corny at all, way better than anything we've seen in the MCU. So miss me with that shit. But yeah, Abomination, the Leader, Scorpion, Taskmaster, they're all still alive. They're all active. You can obviously bring in all the villains we haven't seen yet still. And then there's the new characters and stuff like that. But, Punisher would have an endless hit list. And it doesn't have to be super villains necessarily. It could be, lower level dudes and then one villain, lower level dudes, then a villain, something like that. But we need to see him doing his thing. Show him hunting down these MCU lingering supervillains, the ones that are still around, the ones that didn't get taken care of in the other movies, right? The ones that slipped through the cracks. Punisher's cleaning house. But he is officially back, y'all, in Daredevil Born Again. He is back in the series. He is back in this show. But this is only the beginning of his time in Marvel, the MCU rather. He will be a new ongoing character like he should have been. And I always wished and regretted that he wasn't. But he is now. He is going to do that. Now, John Barenthal, let's see here. Let me share this thing with you guys here real quick here while we still kicking it. I got a little more time, maybe about 15 minutes or so. Where are we at? Tombstone. Yeah. Tombstone. Tombstone. Do I have the sickest Tombstone figure and shit? I got a whole little gangster little unit. All right. So it says John Barenthal might have revealed the comic that the upcoming special presentation is based on. I always hesitate to look at these because, like, I used to sell comics pretty vigorously right around the pandemic because the market got nuts, and I was like, I'm taking advantage. So every time a Marvel movie or show was getting ready to come out, we would get the news about what comic it was going to be based on, and that comic would skyrocket in value, and it would piss me off because 9.999 times out of 10, that shit would not even be in the movie. It would barely have anything to do with it. It would be a really bastardized or completely twisted version of it, if it at all did. And it didn't deserve that comic going up in value. Now, I think they've gotten more comic vibey. They've gotten more making stiff shit feel more like a comic, but Marvel or the MCU is still very much its own thing. It's not adapting comics. So when I see this, I take it with a grain of salt because they do not adapt comic book stories. They take characters from comic stories and make their own stories with them, with some little stuff from different stories here and there that they piece together and throw in one. Like they might take shit from a golden age comic story and add it to a movie that really kind of takes place in an ultimate universe story, and then they'll add some shit from the 616 modern and put it all in the same movie. So that's not adapting a comic book. They don't adapt comic books. They don't adapt comic stories. They take characters from these stories and adapt them into movies and stories, and they make their own stories, and that's cool. It's their own thing. It's what it is. What it is. I myself think that they should adapt comics because that would just give them way more material to use. If you take, for example, Iron Man, and you take stuff from Iron Man's entire career, everything Iron Man's ever done in the comics, and you take shit from all over and you put it in 3 movies, well, now all those stories are tainted. You've used shit from all of them, so you can't now use any of them. It's like you shot your wad early. What's a smarter thing is to adapt a story. That way, now you can just adapt the next story and the next story and the next story and the next story, or this story or that story or whatever. And comic fans are super pleased because they're seeing their comics in live action. I mean, but they you know, when it started off, they didn't know how this shit was gonna go. No one knew how any of it was gonna go. So I'm not mad for them doing what they did. But now that we know this stuff, you got DC adapting actual comic stories and the DCU and the new DCU stuff coming up. So according to Gunn, that's what he's doing a lot of. But let's see. Maybe this is something new. This is Follow the News. John Barenthal headline his own special participation. Earlier this week, news broke. Blah, 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 blah. What's the story? What's the story? What's the comic? That's part of a storyline called Final Days. There it is. Daredevil Born Again stopped out. Taking to Instagram, Barenthal shared a photo of the Punisher number 53, released in 1991. That's part. Here he is. Wait, where's he at? There he is. Bam. And he showed 53. So is this Barenthal just being like, here's a badass picture of Punisher that I like, and coincidentally showing the issue number? Or, like most of us think, is this a foreshadowing of what's to come? That could, let's see, it says that part of the storyline is the final days that followed Kingpin as he set out to finally break Frank. After initially being forced to help the mobster, the Punisher was sent to jail where he had a violent reunion with his old foe Jigsaw. Now we've already seen like footage you guys have seen where and Punisher has been in jail. So this would definitely track with the current shit. Frank is badly wounded and manages to escape, then needs to wrestle with whether the only way to live is if he changes. You can probably see how elements from this would lend themselves to a special presentation on Disney Plus. It's worth pointing out that this might just be comic book the actors enjoyed while preparing for the Daredevil Born Again follow-up. Still, we'd bet that there's a big reason for Barenthal choosing this specific story arc. Marvel television boss Brad Winderbaum recently said, "It's like a shotgun blast of a story, but also has all the pathos and emotion that you'd want out of a Frank Castle story." And that's something that I keep trying to tell, like my man Stu and other people, like Punisher is not just some action-packed, violent, just like graphic nonsense, like just action, action, action. That's not how the Punisher is. Punisher, like I said, as a little kid, I was hell of bored with Punisher comics because they were just so dialogue or just so, text heavy. It's they're very and so they're acknowledging that here, the path of the emotion that you want over Frank Castle. It's so exciting. Barenthal is a generational actor. He's incredible what he brings to all the roles he plays, but particularly Frank Castle. He's a great writer. He knows the character inside and out. And he continued, also, I love Punisher, but I love John Barenthal's Punisher in particular. I gotta agree. I gotta fucking agree. We've seen Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, and the great late Ray Stevenson play Punisher. I think Ray Stevenson was the closest to a comic book Frank Castle. But again, something Barenthal does that it's just different. It's just dope. It blew me away when I first saw it. So it's definitely makes sense that they would stick with it. The idea that he's in the MCU and can bring that to a greater universe, especially the more grounded street level stuff, is a huge opportunity. And as a fan, the greatest thing ever. And that's his post. So again, it could just be him as a fan, but it's kind of funny how he's got the issue number there, which would lead you to believe that he wants you to read this specific issue, or this issue has some importance. In the Marvel television board again, Matt Murdock, blind Laura, heightened abilities, fighting for justice, blah 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 blah. When it passes emerge, here's my episodes. Yeah, but yeah, check it out. Punisher number 53 from 1991. That may be the story we are gonna get. Damn, that's messed up. The picture was all messed up. I didn't mean to do that. Typhoid Mary, Hammerhead, Tombstone. Punisher needs a flow like John Wick. There is a whole comic series called Punisher Goes to Jail. Yeah. Agreed. Smoke agrees too. Yeah, man. Other than that, I did want to share a couple of bits of other things that aren't really big deals, but I thought you guys would get some entertainment out of. Bomb. So Pattinson there, he doesn't have much faith in the Batman 2 right now. And that's kind of disheartening. He said da 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 da. He was talking about his other movie, Weird Mickey or whatever it is. Mickey 17 and Mickey 17, a Korean, in his own words, weird movie. Pattinson. But yeah, he said, I don't know what happened. So they asked him, comment made about his new film. Hold on. Okay. When asked about his role in Batman, saying, it's amazing and obviously you're Batman. Are you going to do Batman again soon? And he said, Pattinson, who will turn 39 in May, admitted, I fucking hope so. I started out as a young Batman and I'm going to be fucking old Batman by the sequel. End quote. So, yeah, he's acknowledging the immense gap in time between these two movies and the fact that concernedly there's no script yet. It's not been completed. So, I'm not worried though. I'm not a lot of people were. I'm really not one of these people that are worried about this. I don't think it's a problem. I think they're gonna have the script ready in time. I think it's a pain in the ass, and having to wait 2 more years is ridiculous. But hopefully it'll be worth it. If you told me I had to wait 2 more years for the first movie and I had never seen it before, but I knew it was going to be that good, yeah, I'd wait. So hopefully it's as good as the first one, and I'm not going to be mad. Not going to be mad at all. Not mad at all. No, no, no. Well, as for James Gunn's Superman, apparently it's not terrible. No, I never thought it was terrible. I don't know what this means. I apparently some people are saying bad things about it. Nothing bad about it over here. I everything I've seen personally, I think it's gonna be phenomenal. I think it's gonna be great. But I'm also a big fan of James Gunn's work, so there's a big chance that you know, I'm biased. But it says James Gunn's film generating buzz. But I wanted to read this little thing here about this when the guy said what he said. To say the least, there are quite a few conflicting opinions out there about what would serve as David Corenswet's first movie in the respective superverse. But while insiders are further perplexing the situation, a recent opinion shared by a film critic suggests that fans might well be in for a treat, as he claimed to have heard the said movie is tremendously good. Quote, with all the insider reports, spoilers, and rumors being confirmed and debunked as of late about the upcoming Superman, fans are having a lot of second thoughts about whether the movie would actually be worth watching or if they would be yet another forgettable disaster. Man, like, who thinks this and why? Like, what have you seen? You've not seen shit. You've seen the same trailers we have all seen. Why do you think this movie's going to suck? Yeah, I don't get it. I think it's going to be fucking dope. But a new source is claiming that they've heard that good could, I think this is claiming to have heard that good could be expected from the superhero flick. I don't know. That's a weird way to say it. Recently, John Campea, the famous YouTuber, film critic, media critic, director, writer, producer, and editor, received a question from a fan during the latest episode of a podcast, John Campea Show, asking to shed light on the movie that would serve as David Cornstar's. He said, as you've seen so many times, as you've said many times, we shouldn't believe any reports about test screenings going well or not. You've said that when Jeff Snyder says that he's heard insider information, you believe he did hear it, right or wrong. With that said, you believe he did it? Yeah, right or wrong. Okay, with that said, Jeff Snyder says that he's the best source, says that they keep hearing Superman is terrible. And he said it on the Hot Mic Show with John Roca. Should we believe him? He sounds like he's hating to me. To this, instead of confirming that fans would go ahead and believe that the reports time around, Campy revealed that himself have heard about the forthcoming piece. He said, I will come out and say the exact opposite. I've heard it's tremendously good. I won't say who I heard it from, but I heard it. But I'm not a scooper, right? So take that for what you will. I've heard it's actually very good. There's no way it's so bad that everyone's just going to think it's bad. There's very big possibility that some people won't like it. And honestly, man, I hope that's the case. I hope some people don't like it. Because when I was growing up, movies just were made. Some people liked them and some people didn't. And that was okay. Filmmakers did not try to go out and make a movie that literally everyone was going to somehow like. I personally don't like those movies. So they already lost one. You cannot please everybody. So stop trying to make movies that do, because it makes the movie just suck for everyone. Instead of making everyone like it, people who know what they're fucking looking at don't like it. The only people who do end up liking it are people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about anyway. So, man, just make the movie, and some people will like it and some people won't. That's okay. You got to learn to be okay with that. Without missing a beat, the film critic went on to add another presenting his opinion. He said, but I would disregard that, what I just said, and I would also disregard anything else about test screenings that I'm hearing from this person or that person, because you never know who that person is hearing it from, or whether what you've from or whatever, and what have you, and what you have, right? Explaining what he wants fans to do. If you want this movie to do great, you're going to hear the ones that say it's great. If you want this movie to suck, you're going to be one of the ones that hears that it sucks. Ultimately, we know that this movie could be the best movie ever, or it could be the worst movie ever. Personally, though, guys, I don't think it's going to be the best movie ever. I don't think it's going to be the worst movie ever. I think that's insane. The best movie ever? The worst movie ever? Like, these are not possibilities. So it's going to be a movie that some people like and some people don't. Personally, I anticipate liking it, but I promise I won't lie if I don't. Last thing, Lantern showrunner teases a grounded take on the Green Lantern mythos. This is a show I'm very excited about. It's a show I'm really into. A show I've been following. Because of not because I'm like a huge Green Lantern fan per se, because I'm a fan of True Detective. It's a show on HBO, and they said that this show is going to be like True Detective. So you add comics and something else that I like and put them together. I'm generally into it. Hence my love of Wu-Tang Clan. Lanterns stands as one of the most anticipated yet most worrying projects in the new DC universe. While the characters are certainly some of the most beloved in the franchise catalog, it's no secret that the reputation of Green Lantern has been soured in the public eye with the Ryan Reynolds debacle. Hold on. Thanks to Ryan Reynolds' infamous flop that the character all the way back in 2011, guys, come on, get over it. This means that the pressure is on for Cindy Mundy and his team to deliver something truly special with lanterns. However, not every Green Lantern fan seems to be aboard with the direction that the series is taking. Everything fans know of the project puts it in a very interesting position with the rest of the DC universe. Unlike other projects, Lanterns is explicitly grounded, focusing on a small town mystery in the same vein as shows like True Detective. I have no idea how they're going to combine the Green Lanterns with True Detective. I'm just so interested to see how they do that. Because when I think of Green Lanterns, I personally think of like space and like doing shit in space and fighting aliens. Um, that said, they do also do shit on Earth. I mean, obviously, it's the Green Lantern doing shit on Earth all the time. So don't get it mistaken that Green Lantern is only in space. That's definitely not the case. So you know, and again, what comic books that they're basing it on, I haven't really heard anything definitive. What I heard is that it's more like this show, True Detective. So as long as they're faithful to something I love, I'm into it. But here's what they're saying. Some fans worry that bringing lanterns into a grounded format will inherently make the characters and story worse. You know, like that's a I guess it's a valid take, but it's also kind of a weird thing to say. Like you can't say that. Like you don't know that. Chris Mundy addressed these fears directly though when describing the project on Warner Brothers Discovery site. The showrunner explained that the focus was already making a quality series first and foremost. And that's what I loved about Penguin. And DC is doing more of that. I'm happy, right? Penguin was a quality first show. That show was like something that you would see on HBO damn near. It was like, you know. So as long as they give me that type of quality and care, I'm gonna be happy with this show. And it doesn't matter that they're not in space. Like, just make the good goddamn show. They're gonna have Green Lantern rings, Green Lantern powers. Okay, they're gonna be dealing with some entity on Earth. So seeing these Green Lantern powers on Earth with against Earth shit is gonna make it all that more interesting. I mean, seeing that shit going against other aliens with their own powers, it's like, oh, okay, so who's got, the better power? But they're more powerful. They seem more powerful when they're just dealing with Earth shit. Maybe that's cheating, but it is what it is. But yeah, they it says the showrunner explained the focus man Green Lanterns. Okay. Though they always shoot to maintain the magic and wonder that is inherent to Green Lantern characters. Yeah. He said, quote, "From the start, our driving force has been to deliver a layered drama rooted in nuanced storytelling and rich world building that balances tension and mystery with honest, authentic emotion. The goal is to create something that feels timeless and grounded without sacrificing the magic of the source material." And that's a fucking very promising statement. What's going on? Have I frozen? Damn it. The Green Lantern series Lanterns is currently in production for HBO. Stay tuned for the latest. Yada, yada, yada. Oh, that thing froze, didn't it? All right, y'all. Well, that is our show, guys. So thanks for coming and kicking it and hanging out with us. Go ahead and leave a comment, guys. Hit that like button, please, everybody. And subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you came in late, rewind this thing and watch it again. It was a really great show. And we'll see you guys this Saturday. Every Saturday, every Wednesday, about 6:30, 7 o'clock. So, get that notification bell and make sure you don't miss it. You know what I'm saying? So see you guys then, and be safe. Peace.